Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So you have seen I have been creating Restoration Shaman guides, Elemental Shaman guides, and what is left then? Well, of course, the lovely spec that everyone loves and is not random at all, Enhancement Shaman. And I was sarcastic, ha 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 ha. So Enhancement Shaman is probably the most random spec in the game because all your damage is reliable on randomness. Random. Though it actually got some quite big changes in this patch 8.1. So why not go through our list of what we're going to cover in this enhancement guide for patch 8.1. So we will be going through changes, stats, Azerite traits, talents and builds, rotation and gameplay tips. So after this guide you should be, I would say you could either be a very basic enhancement shaman or a very good enhancement shaman. I will just give you all the core principles of playing enhancement shaman. So when you finish with watching this guide, you will be able to play enhancement shaman as a very, you could either be basic or you can be pro. I mean, that's pretty much up to you how you want to adopt my guide, but I'm making sure that no matter what, you all will be on the same minimum level. And then how you go from that to progress up, that's up to you. But I will make sure that you know exactly what Enhancement Shamans is all about. So we will go through again, changes, stats, Azerite, talents, rotation. So why not go through the changes first? So I am back here on the little screen, I'm sitting down here, hello. And well, let's go through the changes first. Oh, poof. So this is all the changes we have in patch 8.1. So first of all, all damage increased by roughly 5%. That means all our damage is basically increased by 5%. So if you feel like, I really needed those 5% damage to be my best guildmate, well, then you probably have it now. And good luck with your randomness. But still, we got still more changes. World of Fist damage bonus increased by 35%. Boom. Lightning Shield generates no bonus maelstrom when it triggers. That's a little nerf, but ignore that. I mean, you still got the 5%. Landslide trigger chance increased to 40%. That's also great. Forceful winds reduced to 80 per stack. Yeah, that can be discussed. Totem Mastery now grants a 10 bonus to Storm Strike. That's fine, but no one used Totem Mastery as Enhancement Shaman right now, so woohoo. Hellstorm damage increased by 50%. That's also great, that's a buff, but no one used Hellstorm as a talent at the moment. Overcharge cooldown reduced to 9 seconds. That's also great. I mean, it's a buff. I'm not using that talent, but it's still a buff, so if you want to use that talent, it's better to use now. Fury of Air damage increased by 40, and I mean that's nice if you want to have some more AoE damage. Crashing Storm damage increased by 40, and again, more damage buff. So all these buffs are pretty great. I mean, overall, I mean it's great changes. So we got more damage, and Blizzard have realized that, oh, enhancement shamans, they need some more damage, so give them more damage, just give them. And I mean, that's, well, basically it's fine and we get more damage, but it still doesn't help our randomness of, I mean, you have to, sometimes you get Stormbringer procs and your Wind Fury weapon procs, so, but still, Enhancement Shaman is a really great spec, I would say. It's fun, it's good, but it's reliable on so much random also. You just have to kind of remember that when you actually play the spec. So it's kind of, it's up to you. So from that on, we go into the next one, stats. So stats, poof. So the first one is agility. So the first stat is agility, and of course that is your main primary stat. And now you probably say to me, why are you mentioning agility? Because agility is your most primary stat, you always want that no matter what. And if you, for example, get a trinket, because I know on your feet, on your shoes, on your whatever, you always have agility. But if you can choose a trinket where you can either choose between haste or agility, you will take agility no matter what. Except if the haste trinket is like 5-10 eye level higher, then you will take the one with haste. Eye level is still important, but agility, if you can get a 340 and 340 trinket with either agility or haste, you take the one with agility. So agility is like primary. After agility, that is just increasing your overall damage on overall front, it's haste. And haste is so important for enhancement shamans. The haste is helping you with so many things. First of all, it increases your attack speed. That means the more damage, the more auto attacks you deal, and the fast damage you deal with also auto attacks in really well gives the more Stormbringers. That means you have more, Stormbringers where sometimes you get a free stack of Storm Strike, so you can use a free Storm Strike. The more haste you get, the more of those Stormbringers you also get. And the procs from them. Also, it decreases your global cooldown down to 0.75 seconds. That is quite a lot. It also decreases cooldown on a lot of your spells. So again, it decreases the cooldowns of your spell, it decreases your global cooldown so you can spam spells faster, it gives you more Stormbringer procs, it gives you more Maelstrom generation. So you can see haste is like the omega. So first of all, agility, haste, boom, boom, boom. After haste, it's quite. Agility haste is like your most important stats, and after that, it's kind of actually blah, blah, blah. You don't really talk about after haste. But if you have to choose something else between agility and haste, critical strike and versatility is both equal for enhancement shamans. Critical strike or versatility is just increasing your flat damage, so both of those are like the same for enhancement shaman. Your mastery is the worst one you can get, because the mastery of an enhancement shaman is not that good, so don't really think about mastery, just get agility, haste, and if you really have critical strike and versatility is the same level. So what did I do? Doesn't really have any, you can say, big difference. So that's the stats. Go with agility, haste, and you should always be super cool. So that was changes, stats, and now let's talk about Azerite traits. So Azerite traits, it's still pretty much up to you how you would like to have Azerite traits. If you like to have those Azerite traits or those, it's up to you. But I will just give you a little help on which one I think is great for you. So the outer ring, first, poof, I know it's a lot of information, take it easy. Laser Matrix and Archive of the Titans is like, if you're going to Uldia for example, it enables rejuvenation array within Uldia. That means both of these will be stronger in Uldia. So if you go into Uldia the raid, you need to have at least one of these, because it will enables rejuvenation array, and that's kind of must. I would say kind of a must. But again, both of them, Laser Matrix and Archive of the Titans, is a great Azerite trait. So if you can get them, I would 100% recommend them. You can either get what I said here, Archive of the Titans, that increase your totally increase of your primary stat. That means more agility. More agility means more damage. Who doesn't like that? Laser Matrix, sometimes you deal damage, and it also deals damage to AoE. So that means it's both good for split damage and single target. So these two, Laser Matrix and Archive of the Titans, are both really great talents. Oh, sorry, not talents, Azerite traits. So both of them, you can go with them. But if you cannot take one of these, Ancestral Resonance is also an overall great Azerite trait that gives you a longer time inside, you can say, Bloodlust or Heroism. So it's a great one that increases your overall damage. It's like it's giving you the overall damage. It's both good in single target and AoE. But if you really want something that is only single target depending, so you just want to deal so much more damage on single target, you can get Dagger in the Back, Tidal Surge, and Resistance Fury. Both of these three, you can see the bottom of the screen, is pure single target. So the top of the screen is what I recommend if you just want something that works with overall situations, access to Resurrence. As a single target, you have those 3 you can get for pure single targeting. But this is what I would recommend. And again, Azerite trace is important, but take the ones you like. But here's what I recommend. Okay, and then we have the middle ring. So for the middle ring, I have 2 Azerite traits that I recommend for almost any situations. So the first one is my favorite one, is Overwhelming Power. It gives you 25 applications of Overwhelming Power. Each application gives you haste, depending on how much eye level the item is. So for example, with a 340 you get 11 haste for each application. That means you have 25, and you have a 25 application that gives each of those 25 applications give 11 haste. And every second each of the replication is removed, so it's like 25, 24, 23, 22 and so on. But also when you take damage, it also removes a stack. But again, when you get those 25 stacks, it's a lot of extra haste. And you know, for Enhancement Shaman, we like haste. Haste is good, we like haste. So in total for that, haste is good. So Overwhelming Power, giving more haste, is great, it's awesome, we like it, it's perfect. Heed My Call is the number 2, so if you can't get Overwhelming Power, then at least try to get Heed My Call. Your damaging ability have a chance to deal 368 nature damage to your target and 158 nature damage to enemies within 3 yards of the target. Remember, these numbers scale depending on how much eye level this Azerite item is. But those 2 is my favorite and recommended Azerite trait. Go take it, no problems. Bah. So that was the changes, stats, Azerite traits, and now we have the talents and builds. So if I get my interface out here and show my character, boom boom, we are back here. So this is the talents I will show you. So let's go through them and take them row by row. So first row, at the moment, Lightning Shield is the best one for pretty much any situations. It gives you the base damage, and it's much, I mean, for rotation wise, it's easier to use. So Lightning Shield is the one right now, at the moment, that's the best one, and I can recommend to take it. So go with Lightning Shield and you will have a solid damage for that one. For the next row, Forceful Winds is dominating Landslide and Total Mastery 100%, so Forceful Winds is like a must have at the moment. Next row, it's pretty much up to you if you want to have lower cooldown on your stun. For Mythic Dungeon, I will recommend that. If you need a stun, I mean, if you all group already have a lot of stuns, you don't really need it. Spirit Wolf is great for self-protection, but the problem with Spirit Wolf is that you have to go into Spirit Wolf and you will deal less damage. Earth Shield is a one you can use on yourself with your Lightning Shield, and it heals every time you get damage. And you don't really have to think about it. So Static Charge, if you don't need those extra stuns, I would say normally go with Earth Shield because it just gives you healing. And Spirit Wolf, when you use Spirit Wolf, remember you will get less damage out. So for me, I like to have Earth Shield, and Mythic Dungeons, Static Charge. But again, this row here is totally up to you. On the next row, Searing Assault is dominating so much. Also, it's making your rotation much easier. Overcharge in Hellstorm is making your rotation much more complex, and the complexity of it, Searing Assault is winning by damage. And also because it's not complex at all, it's very easy to use, and you cannot fail using it because it's pretty much just a new rotation. So every time you use Flame Tonk, you also deal damage over time on the target, and it's great. So use it. Next row, again up to you. I like personally to have Nature's Guardian because it heals every time you get below 35 health. You get heals 20% of your health free, so like poof, healing, and it has 45 second cooldown on it. It's pretty great. So every time you close die, you just get healing and boom. Feral Launch, I don't really like that one. And Vine Rush Totem, I mean, if you need more speed or something in a raid or group or something, it can be great, but else I would say passively go just with Nature's Guardian. On the next row here, Sundering is, I would say, the best one. For single target damage, it deals a lot of damage. Also for trash mobs and AoE, it has a really nice AoE burst that Enhancement Shaman is really lagging on. So Sundering is best in pretty much any situation, and I would say go with that all the time. On the next row here, it's pretty much up to you. never take Earthen Spike. But Ascendance is a really great cooldown that increases your damage in those 50 seconds, and for those 50 seconds you deal a lot of damage and you have a light good burst, and your spells also have a 30-yard range, and you're bypassing all armor on the enemy. So you can either choose to have Ascendance, that is a really great burst cooldown, but remember it has 3 minutes cooldown, so it's like, it's a long cooldown. But Elemental Spirit is kinda nice. It makes that your Feral Spirits only have 1.5 minute cooldowns. That means you can use Elemental Spirit twice, while Ascendance, so on those 3 minutes cooldown on Ascendance, you can basically use Elemental Spirit 2 times, because it's only have 1.5 minute cooldown. And I know if you take Ascendance, you still have Feral Spirits, but it has 2 minute cooldown, and it doesn't deal the same damage as with Elemental Spirits. So Elemental Spirit is a nice one. When you use it, you don't really have to think about your rotation. Otherwise, with Ascendance, you don't have to think about rotation much again, but still. So again, do you want to have a 3 minute cooldown, or do you want to have a 1.5 minute cooldown? I have seen on the internet that people is recommending Ascendance for single target and Elemental Spirit for +2 mobs or cleave damage. But again, it's pretty much up to you. I would probably, personally myself, go with Elemental Spirits, as I think it's an awesome talent, and I don't really want an extra cooldown, so I just stick with Elemental Spirit. So these talents you can see right now is the one I recommend for pretty much any situations, and remember you can always switch out Ascendance with Elemental Spirits if you want. That's pretty much up to you. So this is the talents I would recommend for you. So now the next one here is pretty much we're going to talk about gameplay and, well, rotation on how you play the spec. So let's get down to the dummies and let's talk about how we actually play the spec. So before you go, let me switch over. So before you engage in combat, I would say remember always to use Lightning Shield, and if you're talented, use Earth Shield. You don't have to use Earth Shield or Shield on yourself if you have a healer. I mean, you can help your healer with putting on him, or you can put it on the tank. But just use your, I would say, just for the damage, just use your Lightning Shield. Then you're pretty much ready for that. So here we have the boss. So what I would recommend when starting on hitting him is, well, when you're running toward him, use one time Rock Biter and then use Flame Tongue. So the reason for why I would use Rock Biter is because, let me sit in the right position so I'm ready to telling you guys. Okay, so I would use Rock Biter as the first spell all the time because it generates 25 Maelstrom, and then you also would automatically auto hit. That means you will get 5 Maelstrom. That means in total you will have 30 Maelstrom and you will be ready to dealing a Storm Strike. So first thing I would do, Rock Biter, and then Flame Tongue. So the important thing about Flame Tongue is that it gives you a damage buff. It will, each of your weapon attacks cause up to 125 additional fire damage. Also, because we're talented Searing Assault, we actually putting on a damage over time buff on the mob. Remember, you cannot hold that damage over time effect up all the time because your Flame Tongue has 11-second cooldown and the debuff is only going to stay on the monster for 6 seconds. So basically, because we're taking this Searing Assault, you want to use Flame Tongue all the time. So whenever you can use Flame Tongue, you want to use it because you want to have that damage over time effect on the mob. So again, back to the opener, first the Rock Biter, then Flame Tongue, and then your auto attack will enable that you can use Storm Strike. Storm Strike is the main damage dealing ability. The more Storm Strikes you deal, the more damage you get. And remember, you have this one here called Stormbringer. Your weapon attacks have a 6% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to deal 25% damage and cost 100% less Maelstrom and trigger no cooldowns. That is the one I talked about. The more haste you have, the more times you actually trigger this one because you deal faster attack. So again, back to how I would open up is start with Rock Biter, Flame Tongue, and then Storm Strike. And this is how I would open up. So again, Rock Biter, Flame Tongue, Storm Strike. Let's go through it again. Rockbiter, Flame Tongue, Storm Strike. That is pretty much your main rotation. So after you have used Rockbiter, Flame Tongue, Storm Striker, I would use my Spirit Wolf, so Feral Spirit. So my Feral Spirit will now deal a lot of damage, give me a damage boost. So for example, right now I get these one, the damage of Storm Strike and Windfury is increased by 35, and all melee attacks now also strikes, I think it strikes also another target. So that means my Feral Spirit is pretty much boosting me also. So again, Rockbiter, Flame Tongue, Storm Strike, and I will use my Feral Spirits after that one. So start with damaging out, put a little damage out, and then use your Feral Spirits. So after using your Feral Spirits, you are actually free to use also Sundering, because Sundering has 40 seconds cooldown, so you pretty much want to get that out as fast as possible. That is the talent we got here. It deals more damage than Storm Strike, and it has a pretty long cooldown, 40 seconds, so you pretty much just want that out immediately. But remember, it costs Maelstrom as also your Storm Strike, but you really want Sundering out. So again, Rockbiter, Flame Tongue, Storm Strike, Feral Spirits, Sundering, and after you finished your opener, as we just did now, basically what you want is to use Storm Strike anytime you can. So every time Stormbringer procs, every time Storm Strike goes off cooldown, you want to use Storm Strike. Just use Storm Strike as much as you can. Storm Strike, Storm Strike, Storm Strike. That is the most important. So again, Rockbiter, Flame Tongue, Feral Spirits, Storm Strike, Sundering. That is kind of your opener. Ooh, now I got 2 times increasing Storm Strike damage. Damn, that's some nice damage. So after your opener, I mean, as Enhancement Shaman, you cannot really mess up an opener. So if you're not following my opener, I mean, you don't lose any damage. As long as you just use your Flame Tongue anytime you can, and you're using your Storm Strike anytime you can. But we have an important thing to discuss. So when should you use Rockbiter and when should you use Lava Lash? So Rockbiter, only use Rockbiter if you have less than 60 Maelstrom. So if you have, right now you can see I have 100, but if you have less than 60 Maelstrom, you can use Rockbiter to generate. But if you have more than 60, it's not very good, because you will overcap and you will begin to lose, well, I mean, you will overcap Maelstrom and you will not really get any use of it anymore. But every time, let's say for example, you're getting over 70 Maelstrom, you cannot use Storm Strike, you cannot use Sundering, then you have to lose some of your Maelstrom on Lava Lash. So that's kind of, you can say, your middle rotation. So now Lava Lash, now I'm on 40, Rockbiter, Lava Lash, Rockbiter, Lava Lash. So Rockbiter is kind of getting you up your Maelstrom, and Lava Lash is getting you down in the Maelstrom. But remember, that is not your main rotation. Your main rotation is to hold up Flame Tongue as much as you can, Storm Strike as much as you can, using Feral Spirits as much as you can, Sundering as much as you can. So those 4 spells, Flame Tongue, Storm Strike, Feral Spirits and Sundering, is like your 4 most important spells. You only want to use Lava Lash or Rockbiter when one of these 4 spells is not ready. And now you can see I'm on 100 Maelstrom, now using Storm Strike. I have way too much, then I would use 2 times Lava Lash to get down, and now I can use Flame Tongue, Rockbiter, Storm Strike. So I mean, the rotation is not really that hard. You just have to use Flame Tongue, Storm Strike, Feral Spirit and Sundering all the time you can. So those 4 spells, just use them anytime you can. Rockbiter is only if you need more, you could say more Maelstrom, and Lava Lash is only if you're going to overcap in Maelstrom, because you don't want to use all your Maelstrom on Lava Lash, because you want to save 30, so you have probably best 60, but you want to save 30 Maelstrom so you can use Storm Strike when it goes off cooldown. So if you use all your energy on Maelstrom, or sorry, all your Maelstrom on Level Lash, then when Storm Strike goes off cooldown, you cannot use Storm Strike and you will lose damage. So, I mean, that is pretty much covering your rotation. So hold up Flame Tongue as much as possible, hold up Furious Spirits as much as possible, Sundering every time you can, and Storm Strike every time you can. And every time you don't have anything of those to do, use Rock Bite to generate Maelstrom, use Level Lash to use Maelstrom. And now you're probably thinking, when should I use Crash Lightning? So Crash Lightning is I would only say use it when you have, you can see when I use it now, boom, you get this one here. What is it? I have to hit at least 2 targets, I think. Yeah. So when you hit 2 targets, you can now see here, Storm Strike and Level Lash deal an additional 1500 damage to all targets in front of you. So only use Crash Lightning when you're fighting more than 2 enemies, because now every time I use Storm Strike, it also hits the other one, and Level Lash. So every time you're against more than 2 targets, use Crash Lightning, because then your damage abilities will deal AoE damage. I mean, for some classes it's pretty hard to deal AoE damage, but for Enhancement Shamans it's quite easy, because you just have to use Crash Lightning and follow your normal rotation. So I really don't hope I have made it very hard for you to understand the rotation, but again, you basically just want to hold up Flame Tongue, Storm Strike, Furious Spirits, and Sundering all the time you can in a boss fight. I mean, on trash mobs, try to think about saving some of your spells maybe for the boss that will you soon face, but again, your cooldowns is pretty much, the highest one is only for 1.5 seconds. That's not much. So that is your rotation on how you play. Now back to some small tips. On boss fights, if you want some more damage, you can use Earth Elemental. It will deal, I mean, a small amount of damage. So you can see I use my Earth Elemental here and use my Flame Tongue. I mean, it still deals damage. It's not much, but it deals damage. Remember, if you use Earth Elemental on a trash mobs, it will take aggro. But if you use it on a boss fight, it cannot take aggro. So it's also okay to use it on trash mobs if, for example, the tank is close to die, or if it doesn't matter that your pet is tanking. But if it's a place where there's a lot of trash mobs close to you, and it's very important to tank the mobs the same place, then never use it. But on boss fights, just use it. Use it. It gives you more damage, and well, again, it has 5-minute cooldowns to think about which boss you want to be top on. Besides that, you also have Bloodlust. I would recommend using Bloodlust on first boss and on last boss. And if you're Alliance, you have Heroism. Hold up your Lightning Shield. Use Earthbind Totem if you want to slow some enemies. Use Tremor Totems if the enemies are close to fear you, hex you, or sleep you. Use Capacitator Totem if you want to stun the enemies. That's very useful in Mythic dungeons. Use Hex if you want to make what is called the enemies sleeping. So you know, if you want to sheep one for 1 minute, you can use Hex. So if you are facing 5 mobs in a Mythic dungeon and you only want to face 4 because 5 is going to kill your tank, then you can sheep one or hex one of them. Spirit Wall is removing all your moving impairing, so if someone is freezing you or slowing you, it will remove the effect, and it makes you 60% faster. You also have Astral Shift for hard times, where all your damage is reduced by 40. You also have Clean Spirit that can help your healer with removing all curse from a friendly target. So for example, if you're getting a lot of curses and you have to remove them or else you die, help your healer out and use it. Cleans it. If the enemies are using some kind of shield or buffs that you have to remove for actually killing them, you also have Purge and you can help. So you can see Enhancement Shaman is pretty much damage and support. So they're pretty supportive if your Shaman is actually helping on the supportive. He could also be very, I mean, I don't care, and he could just deal damage. Remember to you also use your Wind Shear, that is your interrupt. So every time the mob is trying to cast a spell or sheep or heal, use your Wind Shear. and you interrupt them. It's pretty useful. I mean, yeah, that is pretty much all the tips I can give for playing Enhancement Shaman. So that was the rotation, talents, I mean everything I could come up with. So if we make him dance, 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 dance. So, I mean, now we've been through changes, stats, Azerite traits, talents, and builds, rotation and gameplay tips of Enhancement Shaman. So now you should be able to play this spec on, I mean, just a medium of knowledge, and you can always build up from that. But again, with this talents and builds and rotation, you should be pretty good on dealing a lot of damage in both dungeons and raids. So good luck on your Enhancement Shaman life or journey, and good luck with it. And keep in mind that Shamans is a class that gets quite a lot of changes. So I mean, the spec could be like this right now, but in a month they could do some big changes, and everything I said will be not true. But this is how it is at the moment. So leave down a like if you like this this video, subscribe if you want to see more guides, and leave down a comment on what do you like this guide. Leave down a comment, and also leave down a comment and tell me what guide would you like to see next, which class and spec would you like to see in the next video. So leave down a comment, tell me, do you like this guide, and which class do you want to see in your next video for me. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all your using time in here. I'm using, I would say, a good amount of time on these videos because I really like to do this. So I really appreciate that you're watching with me. So thank you guys so much, and well, stay awesome. See you in the next guide.